Since I am in a same-sex relationship, we have two mothers in the family. And
Yeah.
so that makes it a little bit extra special, I think. Growing up, I remember just having a family meal together, maybe doing something with extended family like grandmothers. Um, Nowadays, the kids would usually make a little something handmade for us. Now that they have a little money, they're kind of making plans to do something this year. But things are getting different because Lily's 20 years old now, and she made plans to visit with her boyfriend. But we all failed to realize that that visit was going to occur on Mother's Day. And so we had to have a big discussion about what that means and how that feels and what we should do. And Julie's comment was, well, now it begins because holidays become shared at some point and they become a little different. So that's kind of what we're facing this year, but it's all right. We're okay with it. We said maybe next Sunday we'll just make that Mother's Day. And I said, I love you, you love me. It's a day. We can celebrate 365 days out of the year, and we'll just have it a week early.
I remember growing up in Taiwan, the Mother's Day, it's the same day. We celebrate the same day like here in the US, second Sunday in May. I remember in elementary school, we have, before Mother's Day, in our class, we'll make a card every year. Here, it's James and Becca and Hannah. Sometimes they'll do cook a meal, or James will bake something.
Oh, I remember one Mother's Day when I was a kid. I did all the chores that my mom was normally nagging me about. And one day, it was like a Saturday, I got up early and I did all the things that she normally would ask me to do. And then when she got up, she found that all those things were done. And I think that was maybe her favorite Mother's Day. That really made an impact. I remember that. That was a
I would
special.
love that. My mom was a school teacher and a perfectionist and spent a lot of time with her schoolwork, which often went late in the night. That was really important to her. So sometimes our time was limited with her. I was young, we were supposed to play with our friends and our cousins, and adults had conversations, and you stayed separate from each other. You had the kid table at celebrations and the adult table, and maybe you were allowed to come in and sit and join the adults at some point, but we probably didn't want to anyways. But I just think it's generationally a little different. It's very different for me and my children. As I was raising them, I was very hands-on. They were the focus of pretty much everything I did. So I think that's a big difference that I see. And I'm much more affectionate with my kids than my mother was with me. I mean, I would get a hug and, I would be praised and I would be parented, but I'm way much over the top than she ever was with me.
I would probably have to second the generational thing because my mother was never very affectionate with us either. I don't remember getting many hugs from her after probably I grew into more of an older child. I think that was always kind of in the back of my mind, especially once I had kids. And now that they're getting older and they're kind of hitting that point, I think, where I kind of lost some of the affection from my mother. I'm trying a little bit harder to be proactive about that and give hugs and, just be there for them. But, and then my mom, she struggled a lot with depression. So we didn't see her a lot. She was in her room a lot. So we were kind of on our own. And by this time I was 16, I was pretty much running the household for everybody, for all of us. So I've always kind of been motherly and caring. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, I knew that I had wanted to have kids. And now I'm stuck with them. So, there's that too. But, and now I live with my mom again. So I think that has really changed, how I view her back then and now. And I can kind of see why she did some of the things that she did. So
my mother was a really complicated woman, and we had a really complicated relationship. I craved her attention and affection sometimes. And so I think because of that I kind of showered Danae, so to speak, with attention and affection. But of course, she's an only child. So the dynamic is a little bit different there too. But I know that my mothering that I did, the kind of mothering that I wanted.
that's a really good point. I didn't even realize that, like the mothering that you wanted is kind of the mothering that you give. So that's because I'm basically the opposite of my mother right now. So
I agree with that 100%. I make a conscious effort to try and not do what my mother's done. We weren't allowed to think for ourselves. It was all about her all the time. I remember like holidays, they had to be perfect. They had to have her Williamsburg pineapples at Christmas and everything clean. We had to clean to our bones for these holidays. They were miserable. Holidays were miserable. So I remember one time when we were going to put the Halloween decorations up or something, me and the kids, and we hadn't washed the windows. And I had this like, and why do we need to? It's not about the cleaning. It's not about me. It's about the kids having a good time. And it was also about the capability of my children to be able to, this is totally 180 from the whole cleaning and decorating thing, but to be able to think for themselves, to be able to make up their own minds and to have a voice and have an opinion. And until into my 40s, my mother ruled my head, so to speak.
My mom, she was very strict. And yeah, she was a tiger mom. And I think how in Asian culture that she would say that her role as a mother raising me is so in the future that my future mother-in-law will say that my mom did a good job of raising me. And I think it's a lot more stressful for girls to grow up. I think I was the one who my mom was more conscientious about chores and keeping my room clean and doing certain things because I'm going to be someone's wife and someone's daughter-in-law in the future. And I don't think I am in a certain way traumatized or have negative impact because of that, because I think in the way that I understand, she did the best she could. And that's what all the parents were doing. And at the time is different. The culture is different. I raised my daughters in America, and my mom raised me in Taiwan back then. Yeah, and I'm thinking I will do the best I could. And I, of course, sometimes, lost my temper with my kids. I have how overreact. But sometimes
I cannot believe that that's true, that you would overreact and that you would be upset.
I will tell my daughters, like, geez, if you guys do this, if I do this to my mother, your grandmother, oh, you guys will not exist right now. Sometimes I will jokingly tell them that. I think we all do the best we could. So a lot of time I had to be a good guy and a bad guy, mostly bad guy, because basically their dad was busy working and it was just me and the girls. I don't have any blood-related family in America. They're all back home in Taiwan or in Argentina. So here it's my friends and my church, and mostly friends from a church, and James and his family. So I'm grateful.